Doing great, man. Just hanging out in the garage.
Awesome. Yeah. Do you mind introducing yourself, kind of like your role in the band and kind of where you guys are?
Yeah, for sure. I'm Dusty. I do vocals for Choke. I'm the only singer for Choke thus far. So everything that's coming up is just me doing the vocal stuff for it. We're we say we're based out of Green Bay, Wisconsin, and then we're all kind of living surrounding that area, I guess. A couple of the guys are from Green Bay, our drummer, and then our bass player also live in Green Bay. So yeah,
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Just found out about you guys. I checked out the the first song. Was it Lust for Death? Um,
yep.
yeah. It's freaking heavy. It's sick.
Thanks, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Can you talk about how the band formed?
yeah. So like, uh, let's see, like winter of 2019, like the 2019 to 2020 winter, right around like December, January, right in that area. Um, I'd bumped into Caleb, who is our lead guitar player, out at a show, um, and I'd recognized him from before. He played in a cover band, and he was wearing a Nails shirt, playing with this like rock and roll kind of a little bit of Americana splashed in it, sort of. I said cover band. They're all original band actually. Um, they're called Christopher Gold and the New Old Things. Cool dudes. Check them out if you get a chance. But yeah, I recognized Caleb when I went to this show, and right away I was like, "Hey, aren't you the guy that was wearing this Nails shirt at this thing? You look really familiar." And we got to talking about Nails, which is a mutually appreciated band. And then, I mean, sat and hung out at the show, and by the end of the night, we'd probably had a beer or two or whatever. So we were kind of having a little bit of a bromance about just heavy music and everything. And I wound up getting on the topic of like the HM2 guitar tone with him. And I was like, man, we should just like, do you want to start like an HM2 band? Kind of, like Dismember and Nails and Gate Creeper and all that great stuff mixed up together. And he was like, yeah, for sure. So he sent me a couple of demos over the next week or two and was really into what was going on. It was pretty much perfectly what I've wanted to do for quite a few years before that. And I just wrote some vocals to it, and we got back together. He co-ran, or still co-runs, Split Underground Studio in Green Bay. So we got to just like track these demos that he had just played guitar on, just one guitar, and then he did some MIDI drums to it. And then we just threw some vocals over it with like an SM7, and it started sounding pretty fucking cool together. And then we got into chatting about well, who could actually play drums on this? And we need another guitar player, because it'd be cool to throw some solos in and do all that shit. And then a bass player too. So between him and I, we kind of recruited some people. First couple people didn't necessarily work out, just scheduling conflicts and everything like that, and just different things going on in life. And then we landed the lineup that we have now, and just kind of got to rehearsing together, and then stuff kind of just started happening from there. So
Nice. Yeah, that's cool. I like that how you guys, got familiar with one another, like just like at a show and kind of bonding over Nails. That's so cool. I'm a big Nails fan too. I mean, they haven't really been putting music out as of late, but yeah, that's a heavy band. I really they've kind of gotten a lot of exposure, but I feel like they kind of stepped away from like playing music. But that's cool. I can definitely hear that influence.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not really necessarily sure 100% what happened with Nails. I know Taylor Young. He's their drummer. Drummer at the time. He'd started the Pit recording studio, and I think he's out of LA. And then I'm not sure what the rest of the guys are up to. I think their bass player left as well. I'm not sure why or anything like that. I did see a thing on the Nails Instagram some months back where it looked like they were maybe hinting at some stuff, and then they put some new merch out and stuff like that too. So I don't know. I'm hopeful. I'd love to hear another Nails record. That'd be great.
Yeah, I love that record. Abandon All Life. I think that's when I really kind of got into them.
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, that's a cool kind of like origin kind of story of the band. I guess I'm kind of ignorant to the Wisconsin area. I mean, yeah, when I think of like the Midwest, I kind of for me, I kind of think of more like the Minneapolis area of like
Yeah,
hearing of bands where bands start and where the scene is in that Midwest area. But
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
can you talk
Two
about
of
the
our
scene over there?
Yeah. Well, first off, you mentioned Minneapolis, which is pretty cool. Caleb, who I'd mentioned before, the guy that I originally started Choke with, he went to school for I don't know if it was music engineering, audio engineering, um, music management. I think it's kind of all mixed together. So he actually went to school in Minneapolis, and our drummer Chris went to McNally Smith when that was still going in Minneapolis as well. So that's kind of sweet. A lot of cool stuff comes out of Minneapolis, especially lately. So yeah, I mean, as far as the scene around Wisconsin goes, I think it's hitting a new wave of kind of regrowth, I think. And maybe that's just because I was sort of removed a little bit from it just by choice, just working, and I have two kids and stuff too, so they're a little bit older now, so I'm kind of getting back into stuff and I'm able to have a little bit more time. But yeah, it's kind of just growing, in my opinion. It's pretty well mixed and diverse with the music. So there's a couple of more thrashy bands, couple of death metal bands. There's a lot of just like super hard rock bands, which is interesting too. It's kind of nice to break up the regular going out to shows circuit and see some of those guys too. And a lot of them are pretty close friends with us. A couple of black metal bands. Yeah, it's growing, especially I think around the Green Bay area. We have a venue here called the Lyric Room, which we're actually doing our EP release show at in November. And that place it harbors some national acts that come through. I just went and saw Weed Eater play there not too long ago, so that was awesome. So I mean, there's a definite box of potential puzzle pieces there, and I think it's slowly coming together for sure.
Yeah, the only band I'm kind of familiar with is Jungle Rot. Like I think they're a Wisconsin band. Yeah,
Oh yeah, I
I
think
love Jungle Rot. Yeah, they're so sick.
Yeah, are they from? They're from like down by, I want to say like Kenosha.
Okay.
Or I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah. When I think of like Midwest, I just think of like the Minneapolis area, and then I know there's
Hmm.
a couple of bands from North Dakota. When I lived there, I kind of kept tabs on that bands that come out of that area. Um,
Yeah. Is it Phobophilic? Are they North Dakota or South Dakota?
yeah, they're Fargo, North Dakota. Yeah, they're
Yeah,
sick.
those guys are fucking awesome. I
Yeah.
love that band so much. I just saw them guys with when they did that when Gatecreeper came through on that their first run back after COVID. They had Phobophilic on a couple of shows, and I think I listened to the cast you did with Vinny, and they'd mentioned that X-Ray Arcade show
Hmm.
in Milwaukee, and that was I went to that show as well, and that was yeah phenomenal.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, thanks for checking that out. Yeah, I was just a big fan. I'm looking forward to their new album next month.
Hell yeah, definitely those singles sound damn fine. So
Yeah, super like technical. I'm like, whoa, like this is like way out there. Like it's not like caveman death metal. This is like thinking man's death metal.
yeah, yeah, I love the resurgence of the super old school vibes coming back. Like I love that shit. Those guys like 200 Stab Wounds is another one. Like Undeath is phenomenal too. I mean, not to lump them all in the same or anything like that. They're all definitely unique and special in their own ways. But yeah, that whole general feel, I guess, when I listen to them anyhow, love that stuff.
Yeah, I I occasionally get like albums, that are a few weeks to months, before their release. I'll get an album on the new Tribal Gaze album that came into my email, and I just been listening to that all week. Man, it's so badass. Like I don't know. There's a little more hardcore, I think, influence compared to their. They put out an EP last year, but Tribal Gaze, they're from Dallas, Texas. But I just been listening to that nonstop. So
Hell
yeah,
yeah.
I'm all aboard for that. Like new wave of like old school sounding death metal.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, I definitely love my fair share of hardcore splashed into stuff too. Definitely not like a diehard hardcore dude or anything. I have definite respect for it and everything like that. But yeah, me personally, especially with us, I mean, there's definitely a little bit of that hardcore feel splashed into it too.
Yeah, yeah. You mentioned some of your influences like Nails and Dismember. Were there any other like any any other influences or anything else that inspired you, either like musical or non-musical, or I don't know if it's just like
Yeah, for sure, for
anything
sure.
else. Yeah, anything else.
For for me personally, Rotten Sound is a huge one to me. Um, the just the straight up aggression with that band is just wild. Like the speed and clarity mixed together on their recordings is just like super special. I think there's not a ton of bands that can get that speed and that chaos with that kind of clarity. I think they just have the right formula between everybody to get that. So ton of respect for Rotten Sound. Um, Gate Creeper, I'd mentioned going to that show. Those guys too. I mean, kind of dialing it back on the speed at times, and just like super great tone, super punchy drums, like straight up to the point, but memorable every time you listen to it. It's one of them things like I think I kind of heard Chase saying something on a podcast where like they don't like to throw all these fancy like crazy scaled riffs and all this nuts shit into their songs necessarily. They want it to, in a way, be, you can hear it 10 times and then hum it back or, tap your leg to it and go that route. That's a huge motivator listening to them, just to kind of have those hooks and have that catchiness to stuff too. So, I mean, I definitely take from that and try to put stuff like that, or just those general attitudes towards songwriting into motion when we do stuff. Phobia is a huge band for me too. They go back quite a bit. Just, again, like clarity, chaos mixed into like the whole equation with the right message too. I mean, they're a super equality driven band. I mean, super, cut the shit. This is the chaos happening in the world, and stop closing your eyes to it. And like, here it is. We're going to yell in your face about it, which I respect a ton. If you have a voice, I think you should use it, and they do it well. Yeah. And lately, like in the last year, there's a band that's kind of comprised between two guys from Wisconsin here, and I think another member is from Illinois or Minnesota. I forget which one, but there's a band called Pains, and those guys are just, they fucking blew my mind like the first time I heard them. And like to this day, I mean, definitely my favorite Midwest band. They're pretty influential too, and I can kind of level with a lot of their messages and stuff too. Their guitar player and primary vocalist, Alex, is just a super straightforward dude. He's not afraid to say what he has to say about his opinion and put it into song, and he does it in a fucking great way. And their drummer is just a animal too, Nick. He's just the nicest dude in the world, but put him behind some drums and looks like he's on a murderous rampage, so it's super fun.
Awesome. Yeah, I gotta check them out. You said Pains?
Pains, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Super awesome.
Definitely
Their drummer Nick is in another band called Frail Body, and they're on Death Wish Incorporated. So that's Jake Bannon from Converge, his label.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, Nick, the band Frail Body. They're sick too. Check them out also.
Awesome. If you don't mind, I want to talk about your upcoming EP. The EP is, correct me if I'm wrong, Deciphon? Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, Deciphon.
Okay.
It's a totally made-up word.
Awesome. You kind of mentioned like how you guys started recording, but can you talk about the recording for this EP? Kind of like when you guys like started, and kind of like the recording process, and like and stuff like that.
Yeah, man. So when we all got together and we had these demo tracks that Caleb and I started doing, I think there was like 3 or 4 of them, and we wound up keeping 2 of those for sure, and that was kind of what we started rehearsing on. So everybody kind of got comfortable with those. Caleb kind of brought in a few more guitar ideas, and we all kind of gelled as far as writing goes once all the other members joined in and were on board. And we got to kind of mildly practice those songs together. So it was, I mean, pretty quick from the time of getting everybody together where we were like, okay, everybody knows how to play their parts. We might not necessarily be like super tight together. I mean, we could get through the songs. It sounded great. We did some rehearsals, and like we went through the set first time, no problem, when we first met up, and it was pretty rad. So we're like, well, fuck it. Let's start doing some like pre-production stuff, and we have enough for an EP now. So the guys, we got the click tracks together. Caleb and our other guitar player, Eric, they did some scratch tracks to some like just click, and then our drummer, he did his thing with the scratch tracks and the clicks, he got his portion of it knocked out and kind of changed some things in the process. So it was kind of like writing a little bit as we did the pre-production to it. And then, we like did the pre-pro for bass following that. And then I came in last and just did some pre-production stuff for vocals, just like kind of single takes through, nothing super duper fancy. And then we did like a rough mix of that just to, see if we could get it to sound good. We did it in Caleb's studio, the Split Underground studio in Green Bay. And we found out, holy shit, like this doesn't sound half bad. Let's start talking about, who can, maybe mix this if we take a serious run at it and record it here. And then I had brought up, or me and Caleb kind of both came up with Kurt Ballou from Converge. He did the Nails Abandon All Life that we just talked about.
Yeah.
And we're like, well, shit, So I had actually talked to Kurt a couple of months before that regarding, how did that work? No, I think I contacted him about mixing, and he sounded up for it. He wanted us to send him some stuff, so that's what initially started us to do like the pre-production stuff. So Kurt was figured out before that. I got my timeline all messed up here. So yeah, Kurt was like, oh yeah, cool, send me some demos and everything like that. So we sent him like the pre-production kind of stuff, and he was like, yeah, I can work with this. And then we discussed, that was in like the COVID era,
Mm-hmm.
pretty deep at that point. So it was where Kurt was doing a lot of remote mixing for bands. So he essentially sent us a list of, maybe like recommended mics and setups to use and all the other stuff, like just his kind of what he would be comfortable mixing remotely. So he wasn't buried in work doing it. So we kind of gathered up some stuff. Caleb works at Guitar Center, so that helped a little bit. We got a little bit of couple of better mics together and stuff, and we just kind of swung for the fences with it. We're like, all right, well, shit, Kurt said he's down to do this. That's great. Let's give it a go. So yeah, we started out the same way again. I mean, we redid the scratch tracks for guitar with Click, and Chris did the drums. Then we did bass, then 2 guitars. I did the vocals, and then I think after that, we kind of just had like a day of going in there and having fun and doing a little bit of noise making and ambient stuff like with it, with just like guitar effects and just kind of filler stuff. So yeah, and then we sent it off to Kurt late April or May of last year.
Mm-hmm.
And then he'd gotten it back to us, and shit sounded fucking crazy good. And then we sent it from there to Brad Boatwright at Audio Siege in Portland, and he mastered it. And then we got it back, and it was just couldn't ask for more. I think we set the bar pretty high for ourselves, so that should be super motivating moving forward too.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you guys got the attention of Translation Lost Records. I mean, I collect records, and they always put out the best looking vinyl records. But how'd you guys get the attention of Translation Lost?
Yeah, so Caleb, again, our lead player, he was in a more of like a doomish band, I guess you could call it. They're called Cavern Light, and that was with Adam from Gilead Media was drumming for that, and Scott Burns doing some guitar and vocals, or I think guitar and vocal stuff. And then they had gotten their latest release put out on Translation Lost, so we kind of had maybe a little bit of a shoe in, or at least a connection to Drew at Translation Lost. So yeah, we just sent Drew the songs once they were just like done, mastered, mixed, everything was good to go on them, and he dug it a lot. And then I mean, it was just, you know, the process from there was, you know, just building up a plan to release and a timeline and goals for all that stuff. And then yeah, kind of brought us to here where it's getting out there finally. So that's cool.
Yeah, I've just heard the one song that's been released, and it's yeah, I love it, and it's just I love the way the song starts with yeah, I can hear the Ikshim 2 guitar tone with that, like, just that groove, and then yeah, just like goes off on a, like, just a grindcore, like, yeah, just tear. It's pretty badass. I'm really looking forward to hearing the rest of that EP. And it's coming out in about a month or so, right? I was looking it up. September 16th.
Yeah. Yep. September 16th is the release day. There's going to be another single for that coming out the week of September 9th. So it'd be like a week before the release. So the title track is going to come out about a week before the actual release, and that'll be just like a second single release for that.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, everyone should check that out. Yeah, really looking forward to it. I mean, it's always I'm just like a nerd with all this stuff. I'm always looking forward to, you know, hearing new bands, and yeah, I'm really glad you reached out to me. And then when you reached out to me, you mentioned that are you near the Oneida reservation?
Yeah. So Green Bay, like that'd be kind of like the western side of Green Bay, just south of Green Bay and up to like the western side of west of Green Bay is yeah, that's the Oneida Reservation. So yeah, we're right there.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm not too familiar with like the tribal reservations out there. I'm familiar with the Ho Chunk. I think it's might be on the other side of the state.
Okay, yeah. I think that's
It's like near La Crosse, Wisconsin.
yep, yeah, I think it's a little bit more west of us. So yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, there's Ho Chunk, there's Lac du Flambeau, that's north of us. I believe there's some Menominee up there as well. Yeah, there's
awesome.
there's a pretty good presence definitely for indigenous people in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, when I was going to school in North Dakota. A friend of mine was from the Ho Chunk area, and yeah, we used to always like. Well, I guess he's my friend was from Wisconsin. He was always like kind of like talking shit to me because I'm from Arizona, and I don't know if you're like a sports fan or but like University of Arizona and University of Wisconsin basketball are like don't like each other. Well, I mean, I don't know. There's like a thing going on between those two schools, like the teams.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm not a huge like sports follower. It's kind of a typical theme in Wisconsin to do a little bit more of like just outdoors sports, you know.
Yeah.
A lot of the guys in our band are fishermen and stuff like that, you know. We'll go out and fish for northern pike and muskie and stuff like that quite a bit. So yeah, as far as like, you know, any just I guess regular athletic sports or whatever you would want to classify it as. I mean, the Packers are like a staple here, but other than that, yeah, I kind of don't really know a whole lot about sports.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm more of like a college football, college basketball fan, but Arizona Wildcats are like just a big deal around here for like the college basketball. But the story is that in 2014 and 2015, back-to-back years, Arizona and Wisconsin ended up playing each other in I believe it was the Elite Eight in the like college basketball tournament, the March Madness tournament, and both
Oh, okay,
years,
cool.
yeah, both years the Wisconsin Badgers like beat Arizona, and so it's kind of like I don't know, kind of
Now you guys are out for blood.
yeah. We haven't
Yeah.
played Wisconsin since that 2015 Elite Eight. Yeah, it's kind of hoping that they play again, but yeah, it's
Yeah. How does that work with college sports? Like,
oh
is there
yeah.
like a certain, like, does it have to time out right for certain teams to be able to play other teams, or is that just like two completely separate like divisions where they only come together if it's like a playoff situation? Or
Yeah. So Arizona's in the Pac-12 and Wisconsin's in the Big Ten, and so they're completely different conferences. And they usually those conferences are location based. So bands in, sorry, not bands, teams in that area only kind of like play with each other against each other in their conference, and then but before the usually are in the like the winter time they have like non-conference like schedules and usually they have
okay,
to the schools have to the athletic departments have to like make an agreement to play each other. Usually it's like the team will travel there to play, and then the following year the team will have to play. They have to go back and forth like it's like a they usually play a 2 game series, like one game there and one game at the other school. Yeah, but
sure.
and if it's like a playoff situation or like a tournament situation, usually they'll play one another. But yeah, actually there was a guy from the Ho Chunk Nation. He played for Wisconsin Badgers, so I thought that was cool.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So I'm more of like a fan of that. And then college football, I think Wisconsin Badgers are like just a power like they're always like doing well every year. And then but yeah, I know like the Green Bay area, that's more like the Packers.
Yeah, the Packers are definitely a definitely a known presence
Yeah,
for sure. I mean, just going around Green Bay, I mean, it's like the streets are named after coaches and stuff like that.
yeah,
So coaches of the past and everything. So
yeah. How far are you from Milwaukee?
I'm about an hour and a half north of Milwaukee.
Oh, okay.
So Milwaukee's like right down, I mean, just north of Chicago. And then if you go straight up from there, basically like follow the lake shore up, there's another lake there, Lake Winnebago, and we're like right on top of Lake Winnebago, sort of.
Okay, cool. Yeah, last year
Yeah.
The Phoenix Suns, this is NBA, and Phoenix Suns played the Milwaukee Bucks in the NBA championship. It's a close one. The Bucks won the championship last year, beat the
Yeah.
Suns.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
remember hearing a whole lot about it. I definitely hear about it at work a bunch. So yeah, there's a lot of diehard sports guys at work and everything. So
yeah,
I hear what's going on a little bit, but I don't fully understand.
yeah. The cool thing though about the Bucks is the coach of the Milwaukee Bucks. He grew up about an hour from where I'm at. He's like his name's Mike Budenholzer. So the coach of the Milwaukee Bucks. He grew up in Holbrook, Arizona, which is like about an hour and 30 minutes away from where I'm at. So that's pretty cool.
Uh, no shit. That's cool.
Yeah. I'm kind of like a sports nerd too. So I like to play like fantasy football and I don't know, stuff like that. I'm just kind of a nerd.
Nice. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Um, but
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, the Oneida thing here is it's pretty known. I mean, it's to me. I mean, it's a little closer to home for me. My girlfriend actually works in social work for the Oneida Nation, so that's pretty cool. I get to kind of understand a little bit more of it. She's actually like a domestic violence advocate for families for the Oneida Nation. So it's cool. Like we just went to a powwow for Oneida a few months ago, maybe 2 months ago, I think. So that was super cool to get to see that and have her explain to me, what's going on and why it's going on, and different ceremony and all of those things. So yeah, it's super interesting to me. I mean, I'm still learning quite a bit about it, but it's cool to have something like that, closer to me now. So yeah, definitely a lot to learn. Opened my eyes quite a bit. I've always been a person of like, treat everybody fairly and all that stuff. So everybody deserves dignity and respect. But I mean, it's like hearing about, the history of Indigenous people a lot more because she's in it for her job and it's a passion of hers. So man, it's like, whew, kind of a tough pill to swallow, just hearing about, some of the negative stuff that came about to make this country. It's just like, oh man.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a ton of respect for Indigenous people for sure.
Yeah.
Just for that reason alone. I always did before, but I mean, now it's just like, holy shit, it kind of opened my eyes a lot more to it. And it's just, yeah, mad respect for sure for that stuff.
Yeah, I think you making music with your band Choke, I think that in itself, you know, uh, people around here, around the Navajo area, are big metalheads, and I think a lot of people, once they hear this, I hope they get a chance to check out Choke. And yeah, just because the music itself is pretty healing, and as heavy it is and as aggressive as it is, it really does help. And especially for me too, like, I mean, I've kind of like transitioned a lot, like with school and different schools and jobs, and just like, yeah, like, it's tough. But the thing that I kind of always carry with me is listening to like this kind of music. So it definitely, it's definitely there, and it's can offer a lot of healing. So yeah, I'm really stoked on Choke, and really hope everyone checks it out, or checks out the Disciple EP when it comes out.
Yeah, hell yeah, man. Yeah, thanks for giving me the chance to talk to you for a little while. That's super rad of you. I get like 10 hours a day at work to put my earbuds in and just weld pipe all day. So I've been definitely checking out quite a few episodes of yours and plan to hopefully get through the whole playlist of it. So.
Oh yeah. Oh, thank you. Yeah. When I started, it was just kind of for fun. Like, I was like living in Phoenix at the time. I was kind of like working out there, doing like I was doing a training program out there for like work, and then this is just kind of something for fun. And then yeah, it was actually during like the COVID time. That's when I kind of started reaching out to people to interview, because I do like to listen to a lot of like podcasts, especially with bands, and just kind of like getting more, about hearing more in depth, how the music, comes about with these different bands and artists, and hearing just like kind of the more behind the scenes stories. So I really wanted to kind of dig into that, and I noticed that it wasn't really mentioned, like the bands around here, a lot of the native, like indigenous metal bands weren't really mentioned. So I figured that could be my niche, and I reached out to some people, and yeah, a lot of them were very receptive and kind of like, were really cool and let me talk with them, and kind of built from there. And yeah, it's just been kind of like just snowballing from there, and been lucky enough to talk with some well-known people. The biggest one I was proud of was the Max Cavalera one. Like, I was like so stoked on that one. I was like, probably.
Yeah, I saw that. I'm yet to listen to that one. I'm kind of saving it for the icing on the cake in your playlist. So
Yeah. That honestly, that took like years. Like, I just remember like emailing, like, or no, I was like messaging like the Soulfly like Facebook account, and then I would never hear back, and then I would yeah, I think I started messaging all of like Max Cavalera's like projects on social media, and then I started emailing like his manager, and I finally heard back from his manager, which is his wife, and then she told me like, oh yeah, we can talk, and then finally finally got it. It was so cool.
That's fucking sick, man. Yeah, there's a dude from around here. There's a town east of here called Two Rivers. It's actually like a super small town. There's a great band from Two Rivers called Macauber, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
They're sick. They're on Prosthetic Records. But there's a studio in Two Rivers called Carptown Studios, and one of the owners of that is Mark Burr, and he I think is actually I think he's been a pretty long running front of house sound guy for Soulfly.
Hmm.
So he's out on the road with them right now. I think I see his Instagram and
Oh, nice.
see all the sweet tour pictures and stuff like that. So yeah, yeah, it's crazy. Wisconsin's like kind of it's weird. Like if if you like dive into it, there's quite a few people from like the area that just kind of just branch off into these larger gigs, and it's just kind of wild.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Yeah. This is kind of just a fun thing. Like, I don't get paid to do this. This is just my own hobby. But yeah, I'm really glad you got a chance to check it out. And yeah, I can't wait for people to hear this and hopefully, check out Choke and pick up the album.
Hell yeah, man. Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah,
I
no
really do
problem.
appreciate it.